So hello once again. Welcome to all. Thank you for joining us at the final session of the SDG Lab, being sponsored by the Justice Coalition of Religious on the margins of the 2022 High-Level Political Forum for Sustainable Development. My name is Teresa Blumenstein, and I am the Global Coordinator for the Justice Coalition of Religious, which is a community of many men and women who work together to advocate on behalf of or as part of the mission of Catholic sisters, brothers, priests, and their partners in many corners of the world. And we come together during this HLPF on sustainable development to bring some of the wisdom and that is partnerships for the goals. And so we have the pleasure today of being joined by several speakers who will offer their experience and their good practices in the area of partnerships that support sustainable development. And so for this little spotlight on good practices, we will go first to Sister Virgo Espineda, who will speak to us on behalf of the Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd. Sister Virgo, please go ahead. Sister Virgo, are you there? Can you hear us? If you can hear us, you are still muted, so we cannot hear you. Okay, it looks like Sister Virgo may have lost her connection, so hopefully that is temporary. But while we wait for her to return, I would like to invite Yolanda, who will speak on behalf of the Society of the Sacred Heart, based on her experience currently in Italy, but also drawing, I'm sure, on her background in other corners of the world as well. So Yolanda, would you care to take the floor first for us?
Hello, everyone. Can I share my screen, Teresa?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you see here?
Yes, we do. We also see your notes, so it's not at full size yet.
Oh, okay. So how to understand? Had the same trouble as last time.
Yeah, there's a trick to this conversation between Zoom and PowerPoint.
So see if that works. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect now. Thank you.
Okay, so hi to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My contribution will focus on a small reality, which is our GPIC project database. SDG 17 seems to pay a particular attention to the national and international scale of partnerships for the goals, because greater impact is often built on small scale initiatives. I have reinterpreted these national and international partnerships within the reality of our congregation, a smaller reality. Our congregation, the Society of the Sacred Heart, is an international Catholic congregation that stretches over 5 continents, and its GPIC mission, its Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation mission, connects with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the principles of Agenda 2030. It's Religieuses du Sacré-Cœur de Jésus, its RSCJs, are involved on a daily basis in the GPIC mission, and their efforts on the ground meet vulnerable and marginalized groups that together explore a transformation for the future. The society sensed that the impact of these efforts could have a wider reach if they were communicated to the whole society and indeed to a wider public, to a general public. This is when the essence of our GPIC database arose. So the GPIC database, this is the website address. It is an online platform, an open online platform that is intended to intensify transformation. So the efforts that the GPIs and the RSCJs are implementing on the ground. And this intensification of transformation is by increasing the availability of data and data sharing, and eventually turning these local experiences into best practices and building partnerships internally within the religious of the Society of the Sacred Heart, the different provinces, building bridges, and with other groups, religious groups, NGOs. The structure of the database has a twofold approach. It has quantitative and qualitative data. On the qualitative side, the database stresses the singularity of each project in its local context, and on the quantitative side, it features statistics charts. So the layout of the database, it has the quantitative and qualitative blend translates into both general and society-related entries. From a general side, the categories have you read a narrative overview of the activities the project is implemented in its local context. It has it categorized the project within 4 focuses. These 4 focuses decline from the 4 P's: people, planet, peace, and prayer. It will indicate where the project is taking place, the country, the province, depends, it might be 2 countries. It also mentions whether the project is currently ongoing or it has been completed. It will also mention about the collaborations the project might have or might have had. And within the collaboration, it specifies each type of collaboration. It can be a private organization collaboration, as NGOs could be, or a collaboration with a body of the government, like local authorities, municipalities, or other religious groups. And there are other types of collaborations. I just put the main ones. And of course, the project is also linked to the Sustainable Development Goal it responds to. On the society-related entries, we have 2 categories. One is about the target group of the project that we have defined it with our society wording, calling them people being served. And within this category, we have identified from the constitution of the society 4 groups, and those are the children and young people, women, people who are marginalized, and agents of transformation as educators. And the other entry, which is very much related to the society, is the GPIC imperatives. Those are to be linked to one of our latest publication called Being Artisans of Hope, where you can read about these 4 imperatives, which are washing one another's feet, transform and being transformed, care of our common home, and welcome people on the move. And here we are landing on the home page of the database. And we've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. And we stress 2 buttons that you can see, the introduction and the glossary button. Those 2 buttons give a general understanding on the approach that is behind the building of this database, and the wordings that we use in it, so that the user can get familiar with our terms. Once the user has read the introduction and the glossary, it can move to the Find the Project button, which is the search engine of the of the project. And then we have the Statistics button that provides some numbers about the different categories I've mentioned before. And the last button is the Contact Us button. It's the last but not the least. And we really have it on the landing page because we deem that it invites the user to get in touch with the administrators of the database. And we really want to make it an open conversation with users on any issues. It could be a technical issue or a content issue. any invitation to a partnership. It's really a way of communication, and that's why we have it as big as the others, as the other three, and in the landing page. So now we're entering into the statistics button. This is just a snapshot of 2 items the statistics provides. You can read about the group being served and focus of the project. This button provides absolute value numbers and percentage numbers. This is just a snapshot, as I said, but you can also have statistics on other 4 items, which are the countries where the projects are being implemented, the type of collaboration, the SDGs, and the society GPIC imperatives. And here we go, landing on the search engine. As you can see from the slide, there are a number of drop-down menus that you have set so that the user can choose directly from a set search engine, or if none of these respond to the interest of the user can type on the open keyword it's their interest, and then they click on search. So it's a set search engine, but also an open search engine. And just to mention, this is a cross-dimension engine, so that you can have more than one interest in your search. You can choose to look for projects that are in one specific country and attending, serving women, for instance. Once you have search, you have clicked on your search button, the list of projects hopefully will come out, and then you choose the project you are interested, the first, and this is the landing page of a project. So on the very top, you have the title of the project. In the center, you have the narrative that reads about the background of the project, the objective, the activities, and the outcomes that the project has reached or is planning to reach. You will also find about the country where it's happening, the focus, our GPS imperatives. Then on the left column, you have extra information, other tabs that are more specific, and you have about the people being served, the schedule, so if it's ongoing or completed, and the collaborations. And on the bottom right, you have a mention to the SDGs logos, so which SDG the project falls under. And of course, visuals couldn't miss because they are eye-catching, and they also give an image to the narrative. It helps the reader, the user, to understand the project. This is the database only provides a general overview of what's happening in the project. If anyone would like to know more, have more details, we also have the contact name of the person who is in charge of the project. So if it's the user is an RSCJ, they can we have an internal catalog where we have our addresses, so they can get in touch with the direct contact person. If it's someone not from the congregation, they can get in touch via the contact us button, requiring to have further information on a specific project. The administrator would then value if it's a genuine request, and if so, would forward the request to the contact person of the project, so that they can directly communicate together. So that was the database, a small reality, as I said. So that aims to document experiences, sharing data, strengthening partnerships, intensifying transformation, different aims. But our GPIC database goes further. It is a database with values. So it has values such as transparency, accountability, engagement, and humanity. It is transparent because its content runs in a clear and organized way that is shared openly with others. It shows accountability based on actual and genuine GPAC efforts on the ground. It illustrates the engaged heart of RSCJs translated into GPAC projects and action. It displays records with humanity in a sign of care towards others. So this GPIC database is for the Congregation of the Society of the Sacred Heart working resource, but it is also the translation of the open art of the society. That's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I could go, if we have time, I could go and have go on the database live, but I would leave time for the others first.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Yolanda. That is just an amazing model of how to bring together many disparate or seemingly disparate works for kind of one united story, and to do it in a compelling way, no less, to include photographs, which, you know, is said include is the equivalent of 1,000 words, and to bring it all together in one kind of cohesive way, in a similar fashion to, I think, the same reason we are making such an effort to learn to see our work in the framework and in the language of the Sustainable Development Goals. Your work with this database has helped to bring many projects into kind of a common language, to be housed in a common place, and to be able to tell one larger story of the Society of the Sacred Heart. And this last piece, to make it so open, an open source for others to learn from, and perhaps to follow and collect their own stories, whether it's about migration or another issue that is a priority for them. So thank you very much. And if we do have time for a little tour later, I'm sure that would be interesting to everyone. So we will see.
Thank you to you.
But now we will have the pleasure to go to another representative of the Society of the Sacred Heart, who is speaking to us from the Philippines, and that will be Candice Dausen Hungao, who will also speak to us. Hi, Candice, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Am I allowed to share my screen already? Here we go.
Yes, yes, you are.
Thank you to all the organizers, Teresa. Huge shout out to you, and thank you especially to the Society of the Sacred Heart for this chance to be here. I will be sharing once again about the work we are doing in Food for Hungry Minds. Please let me know if you can hear the sound. Does it have sound?
Yes.
Warmest greetings to all. It's an honor to present the Food for Hungry Minds contributions towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal on partnerships. I am Candice de Ausen Hungao, Teacher Candy, pioneer leader of Food for Hungry Minds in the Philippines. Since this is a presentation on partnerships, you will be hearing not just from me, but from a few of our key partners as well. What is Food for Hungry Minds? Established in 2004, Food for Hungry Minds provides high quality upper elementary education for the underprivileged. There are two schools in the Philippines, one in Manila and another in Malolos, Bulacan. High school and college scholarships are provided to those who qualify. This is a 13-year journey from fourth grade until college graduation. We celebrate the results of our partnerships. Attorney Justine passed the bar with exemplary performance this year. Daryl, whose father picked scrap materials from dump sites, now works in a Fortune 500 company. Ronnie, Ruth, Kathleen, Maynard, and Angela had no electricity and access to water inside their homes when we first met. Now they have all graduated from university. Like more than 150 alumni of Food for Hungry Minds, these young adults are breaking the cycle of poverty. We would like to share the 2020 to 2022 Food for Hungry Minds Philippines contributions towards achieving SDG 17 during the pandemic years. From its inception, Hungry Minds has relied on partnerships to reach its goals. These have deepened, borne fruit, and then became part of the fiber of the organizations we collaborated with. As we became transformed lives, transforming lives, our partners responded and became transformed lives themselves.
Hello and good morning to our friends at the Food for the Hungry Minds. Yes, and thank you very much for recognizing Cargill as your partner in transforming lives. What we do here really deeply resonates with our purpose and our values. Supporting local communities is part of Cargill's purpose to nourish the world in a safe, responsible, and sustainable way. And we believe that partnerships are a key ingredient in making it happen. Working in collaboration with our partners helps us reach more people and deliver more lasting impact. Wow, 180 young minds. I remember this is since 2006. Our long-standing partnership with Hungry Minds have truly helped young beneficiaries to dream, to aspire. That is power on their hands to uplift their lives and their families. Our collective efforts pave the way for a better future for these young minds. It's very rewarding for us at Cargill to witness our beneficiaries grow and become the ones who uplift others. And we are especially proud that we have one scholar who has become a part of the Cargill family, one of the many success stories that inspire us to keep going with this meaningful work. Let us continue to transform lives and help communities thrive.
According to the UN, the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals requires all hands on deck. Though the scope of this statement may have meant a macro scale of partnerships among countries and global entities, we in Food for Hungry Minds would like to exemplify partnerships at the grassroots level. These have allowed us to continue serving our community amidst the raging pandemic. In early January 2022, an Omicron variant surge in the Philippines led to Food for Hungry Minds declaring an emergency health break. 60% of the learners were sick. So were educators. On a national level, strict lockdowns were imposed due to a phenomenal rise in COVID cases. All these led to serious food security issues nationwide. Though the government sent help, it was not enough. This need was palpable in the Hungry Minds families. How timely it was that COVID response grants from a private corporation allowed for relief goods to be delivered directly to the communities of our families. From decisions in boardrooms and through high trust relationships with Food for Hungry Minds came food on the table. To Filipinos, especially at a time of calamity and illness, a sack of rice is manna from heaven. The goods gave hope and courage to the families that perhaps we could all get through this together. In our work to bridge global divides, we don't just link decisions in boardrooms to food on the table. We also work to allow people to meet one another as fellow human beings.
One thing I really like about the Food for Hungry Minds model is that it's not recreating the wheel. It's building on existing strengths that are within the country. They partner with communities, they partner with education partners, and they partner with existing families and ask for a commitment of involvement. I personally was able to visit Manila and see the children, and I was impressed by their 100% engagement in standing up with enthusiasm as we walked into the classroom was very impressive. In addition, we were able to go to the community and see the parents and their involvement and the pride that they took in being able to contribute to their child's education was very moving. So all in all, the engagement of the kids and the parents was what made me want to contribute.
The communities Shelley visited are made up of parents teaching their children, scholars tutoring younger kids, and, as we transition to hybrid learning, alumni coming to our aid, bringing cleaning supplies to make sure our schools are safe and ready for learning. These are all generous gifts born out of authentic partnerships. The Hungry Minds alumni, especially, have become our partners as they uplift their own lives, the lives of their families, and, in turn, transform their communities.
I'm Angela Caldito. I'm working for Cargill as pricing analyst. My work is to harvest the data.
She's bringing in a unique skill set for us.
When I first met Angela, you wouldn't really see her as someone who would really dream big.
My dream back then was just to finish high school.
Kasi kung walang hungry mind, hindi nakakatapos.
My mother is selling fruits and vegetables at home.
Wow, galing!
We always just wanted to take one child per family. Just one child could get a whole family out of poverty.
All the work we do is anchored on the strength of the partnerships of Food for Hungry Minds. May our contributions inspire others to believe that our concerted efforts will get us through these tumultuous times. In closing, we present the Food for Hungry Minds touchstone, our collective expectations, hopes, and dreams for our schools. We in Food for Hungry Minds choose wholeness and fullness of life for all. We practice bayanihan, compassion, excellence, nurturing, and trustworthiness. We will build a community with a thriving and striving mindset. We are transformed lives. We are transforming lives. Thank you for the chance to share the work we do. May we all partner in making the future more sustainable for all. Together, let us transform lives. That ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Candice, for that beautifully prepared series of narratives, which so beautifully highlight this fascinating and creative project. And it is really perfect, as you clearly saw, for a discussion on partnerships, because it's such a big piece of what you're doing here is recognizing kind of the the limits to the programming that you can offer as part or as on behalf of the congregation, and recognizing that there's a continuum of care and support that is needed for those that you work with. And so to see, you know, where they can be handed off or guided, kind of when they're beyond the scope or perimeter of what you're offering. You know, the support doesn't end there. They don't fall off the edge of the map, or they don't really go beyond the reach of your care, because you have built these relationships in your community with, for example, employers and other partners who can continue to be part of their lives, and be helpful resources, and of course, who will also benefit from the relationship with the young people that you're working with. So thank you so much for sharing that project.
Thank you, Teresa.
And now we will go back. Fortunately, Sister Virgo has been able to reconnect with us. So we will go to Sister Virgo once again, who will speak on behalf of the congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd. And she will be speaking to us from the Philippines as well. So Sister Virgo, you have the floor. Sister Virgo, if you can hear us, we're not hearing you. You are not muted, but we're not getting any sound from you, and your camera doesn't seem to be on. And if you would like to respond, I'm not sure if my audio came through at the end there. I'd like to invite anyone who wants to to respond to Yolanda and Candace while we wait to see if Sister Virgo is able to reconnect. And if you would like to respond, then you can do so by raising your hand with your camera on or using the raise hand button, which you will find underneath the heading of reactions, which depending on your device may also be hidden underneath the more button. So if anyone would like to offer any word either in response or to ask a question, the floor is available to you. Yes, I see Mary Patricia Flattery.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Yolanda and Candace. My brief question is for Yolanda. Yolanda, in how many languages is the database and how does that function? Thank you.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for your question. The database is in French, Spanish, and English. It keeps the title in the original language. So if the project comes to us in Spanish, the title will be kept in Spanish and translated into English and French. And the narrative is in the 3 languages.
Thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
What a truly amazing resource that covers so much of the world that way. Are there any other comments anyone would like to share? Yes, I see the hand of Winifred Doherty. Go ahead, Winifred.
Good morning to everybody. I think these 2 projects are just fabulous, and congratulations to Candace and Yolanda. Was it Yolanda presented? I think so. Absolutely tremendous. I surely appreciate Yolanda's project in terms of it empowering youth and taking them right through to 3rd level. And we need more projects like that, and the collaboration is fabulous. But for Candace, I would like to ask how many people are working on the website to collect the data and post it. And I would like to know what kind of format she uses to gather the information and to prepare it. So from her office to the grassroots to collect the information. I'd like just to hear something of how that's done. And also, could we know the name of the platform on which this database is hosted? So I'm kind of eager to know all of the insides of the work, because it's the first database that I have seen, and I've heard a lot of people talking about databases, but it's the first one that I have seen that I actually feel enthusiastic about. And therefore, I think it's a marvelous resource. And I was particularly delighted about the transparency aspect, and, you know, incorporating other groups that might be doing the same thing or contributing to the goals. So somewhere or another, I might be interested in contributing in that way. Anyway, that's for discussion later. But I think those practical answers to those questions might help us even appreciate more what might be possible. So, you know, the hosting site, the number of people working on it, and what is the process for gathering the data. Thank you very much, Teresa, and thank you, Candace and Yolanda.
Thank you for your question, Winifred. We gather the data through our links in the different provinces. We have a form. This is a fairly new method of gathering because before we had an online form. So we would invite directly our villages on the ground to fill in the form online, but we understood it didn't really have a good result. So we get directly in touch with our links on the ground via email, and we send them a Word form, and it looks like it is working better than the online form, because the online form needs a connection that it's not always available, while the attached file can be downloaded and can be worked on more easily. So once they have a project they want to share, they fill in the form, and I am the one who then records the information that arrived via the Word form into the database. I'm the only one working. Right now we have over 300 projects. We don't have daily forms coming on, so it's quite easily and manageable. And as for the translation, I'm fluent in French and Spanish too, but I do admit that I use online translators to speed up the translation. And yeah, mainly we get in touch with our links, GPIC links on the ground, and they're the ones who provide the information. Have I answered your questions, Winifred?
Platform hosts.
Yeah, I've got that on the chat.
Okay, thank you.
It is rscj dot.
Okay, I see it. I see
Okay.
it. Okay, okay.
And actually, it's better if I give you directly. If you want, if we have time, we can have a go at it.
Yes, why don't we take a look at that, since we do have time, Yolanda?
Okay, so I should be sharing the screen again. Am I gonna get there? Hold on. It's gonna be complicated. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
That one?
Yes, now we see.
Okay, so as I was saying on the introduction, it explains how the database was built, the different years, and the aims, the approach, the values I've talked about, the content. That was the introduction button. Okay, going back to the home, the glossary. It explains what we understand by people and all the different projects you might be relate to people. And from that bottom, you can go straight into the search engine to the people in here. It explains what we understand by planet, by peace, by prayer, the different types of projects that would fall under these focuses. It then explains what we intend by how we define women in our projects, children and young people, people who are marginalized. And again, you have the direct button to the search linked to this group of people being served. Then it explains the GPIC imperatives that come from our publication being Artisans of Hope. So you understand. and where we are present. So those are the two buttons that try to make the user familiar with the vocabulary of the database and where it all came from. On the statistics button, you had before a snapshot on some items. You can see that we are very much involved in our transforming and being transformed imperative. We have a lot of engagement in United States, Canada. The group we serve the most are the agents of transformation. So these statistics can give thoughts to the society on the trends. See that we are very much focused on people, and peace and planet are not in a bad position either. So those are the statistics. Going now into the find a project. You might remember the slide of the landing page of the search engine. So let's say we are interested in a project in Brazil. So we just go Brazil and we'll have our projects in Brazil. There is one which is ongoing and another one which is being completed. We are interested in the ongoing project. So we open and we will read about the background, the objective, the activities, the outcomes, and it specifies that it was in Brazil, it was focusing on planet, and those are the SDGs that the project connects with. We also have some extra comments. We have some extra indications on the people being served, because we know it's about people who are marginalized, but as we could see in the glossary, people who are marginalized are a big group. So we specified that this project serves the indigenous Miki population. And here we know that the project has been ongoing since August 2015. And those are 3 key pictures that you can see. You cannot see the tab of collaboration because this tab has been added in the last month. So we have to update all the records with the different collaborations they have. I'll show you a project which has got the tab of collaboration. I think one was in Colombia, maybe. Might be that one. No, sorry. Bear with me a second. Oh, but that Colombia. I think that was the one I was. So it's again the same as the one from Brazil. You have the overview, the people, the group we are serving, the schedule, and that's the collaboration. So we can see that this project had the collaboration. In 2017, it got a grant from the Mother House Solidarity Fund. It had also some financial aid from the Rural Development Agency, a government body, and also some partnership with a local farm of Santa Letizia. That's it. Yeah, I'm just going to show you the cross dimension also. Like we can look for Argentina, and if they have any projects with children and young people. So we look for that, and we have one project that matched these two entries, the Argentina and Uruguay search and the children and young people. And again, you have the title, the background, the objective, the activities, the outcome, the SDGs, the focus, some pictures. And we know about the group that we serve, children and young people, there's students. Then it's been ongoing since 2011, and the different collaborations the project has had, the Mother House Solidarity Fund, it has collaborated with National Institute of Technical Education, Ministry of National Development, and with other religious groups. And as for the languages, we can switch to Spanish. You see, it's the same project, but in Spanish, and in French. Same project, but the wording, the narrative is in French. I think that's the main features of the database. It's just about a question of playing with it.
As always, with any kind of software or new program, thank you for the tour, Yolanda. It strikes me that having your database as a framework or a template to fill in could almost be an exercise in kind of strategic planning, because it reminds you to ask yourself, what is the focus? Who are we partnering with? To really think about it in a systematic way, which sometimes ministries arise organically, and we don't have the time, or we just don't remember to go back and think about it kind of more systematically. So that can be kind of a helpful guide if anyone's looking to do some strategic evaluation or retelling of the work that you're doing. You might just visit that database as a template for how to organize your thoughts. And I especially love, because I'm biased, that you have each project labeled with what SDGs are related. You knew how I was going to end that sentence, didn't you? Yes, I love to see projects connected in that way, kind of tagged with the SDGs. Beautiful stuff. And I see that Sister Virgo has been able to reconnect. So I'm hopeful that perhaps she will be able to unmute and to share her presentation from the Philippines. Sister Virgo? Sister Virgo, your picture is fairly frozen, and we're barely getting sound. So I might ask you to turn off your camera. That might help. So I'm going to stop your video. Okay, could you try to speak again, Sister Virgo?
The world is ready to. No Philippines is poor, no one is happy. Filipino families live together. There is work-life balance. Everyone feels secure over their entire lifetime. This is ambition, not in the of the Philippines. So the outline of my presentation will be context. Good and effective governance is pivotal in the actualization of human rights and SDGs. Target 17.1 and 7.36. And the third is the primary aim. The fourth is the church response. Target 17.9, 17.8, and 17.I. Call to action, challenges, Philippine government, target 17.1, 17.6, and the church. So the context of my presentation for the VNR Philippines 2022 is the COVID-19 pandemic in the Philippines. With the ICC, from the International Criminal Court, there is an ongoing probe on the crime against humanity, limited on war on drugs. And then we have also the challenges for church people, Catholic priests and workers who have been cases against them in studying of human rights. And then we have the issue on our Philippine sovereignty, which is important. So these are all the contexts. Good and effective governance is pivotal in the actualization of human rights and sustainable development goals. Target 17.1, mobilize resources to improve domestic revenue collection. Because of the pandemic, there have been setbacks in the implementation of the SDG in the Philippines. But for target 17.1, mobilize resources to improve domestic revenue collection, there have been clamor to disqualify tax evaders who are running for high positions in the government and who are also fake news peddlers. Target 17.3, mobilize financial resources for developing countries. On the left side, you will see the list of the resources that came from outside of the Philippines to contribute to the implementation and actualization of the SDG. This is from the UN Philippines. So we have here the listing of the different partner organizations mobilizing their resources like the ADB, the EUD, the COICA, the GEF, the government of Japan, other contributions, and AECID. On the middle part are the different sustainable development goals. And on the right side are the different implementing agencies of the country. And you will see there the allocations of where it went. Now, the United Nations is supporting SDGs in the Philippines. The source is the UN Philippines. The available resources of $94.6 million US. So you can see here where the allocation went. Like for good health and well-being is 58.1% of total. That is SDG 3. And then gender and equality is 6.7% of total. Affordable and clean energy is 3% of total. So these are the ones that have been optimized or maximized or have been given allocations. And then there is also a big portion that went to peace and justice is strong institutions, which is 14.7%. and the partnership for the goals is 1.9% of total. However, there have been alleged anomalous transactions with PhilHealth and Pharmaly vis-a-vis COVID-19. It amount to billions. PhilHealth is the health service arm of the country, which have been allegedly pocketed 15 billion from the pandemic, from the health funds to respond to the COVID pandemic. And the other one is the Pharmaly. Pharmaly is a company that procured and that supplied the different resources that were needed during the pandemic, like PPEs, face masks, and everything else. So the primary aim of JCOR, Justice Coalition of Religious, is collaboration and strengthening the capacity of Catholic religious and their partners to address the root causes of human and environmental suffering. The church response from the ground. Target 7.I, enhance availability of reliable data. So we had a research entitled Human Rights Violation as Drivers for Human Trafficking, Cebu Province Experience. We asked 100 women from the different areas in Cebu Province and sectors, and some of the significant data which are springboards for advocacy. 57% of women do not have enough access and enough knowledge about the human rights. 59% of women do not go to government agencies because they do not know of its existence, and 66% of women are not employed. For self-employed women in frequencies, those who are self-employed as laundry, doing laundry is 3. The frequency is 3. For the 84 respondents, the frequency is 3, so that is around 3.57%. Those who own micro-enterprise is 5, which is around 5.95%, and in situations of prostitution is 10, which is 11.91%. The rest, the 66 or 78.57%, are jobless. I would like to emphasize that Good Shepherd Sisters do not regard prostitution as a job, rather a system and oldest form of oppression. So based on the research, the following human rights were not aptly provided to the women respondents, which could be factors or drivers for their easy prey to human traffickers. The right to education, which is Article 26, the UDHR, where everyone has the right to education, and it is related to SDG 4. The right to have decent work, Article 23, and SDG 8. The right to nationality, Article 15, and SGDs 10 and 11. Also, the right on marriage and family, Article 16. A family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society and is entitled to protection by society and the state, SDG 11 and 16. Article 25, everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, SDG 3. And Article 17, everyone has the right to own property alone, as well as in association with others, which is SDG 5. Now, target 17.8, encourage effective partnerships, encourage building on the experience and resource strategies of partnerships. From the evidence-based responses, we came up with a project of prevention and advocacy through coalition building. We designed an advocacy training of trainers manual, which encompasses human rights, human trafficking, SDGs, Laudato Si, and person as advocate. The training of leaders as core movers and advocates for lobbying of policy advocacies, local ordinances against human trafficking, importance of human rights, and SDGs. So from July 2021 to July of this month, we were able to establish 22 coalition members from various interfaith, government, non-government, and women organizations, and we held 50 core movers who were trained. We piloted parishes which are popular tourist. We piloted parishes which are popular tourist destinations and locus for prostitution, human trafficking, and exploitation of natural resources. These parishes within the Archdiocese of Cebu, where the religious of the Good Shepherd Mission is, have also multinational corporations that are manufacturing cements and are detrimental to the health of the people. So one of the parish is Santa Fe, Bantayan in the north of Cebu province. Another is from the south of Cebu is Toledo Parish, Mualboal Parish, and this is to the Parish Caritas, Justice and Peace, Women Issues and Concerns. So target 17.9, enhance SDG capacity in developing countries, enhance international support for implementing effective and targeted capacity building in developing countries to support national plans to implement all the sustainable development goals, including through North, South, 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 and triangular cooperations. So from the local partners to achieve the goals, we have the Redemo. These are their logos: Sanctuary Veritacor, Eleison Foundation, University of San Carlos, and of course the Archdiocese of Cebu. And for the interfaith, we have the UCCP, United Church of Christ in the Philippines. We have the Iglesia Filipina Independencia and the Muslim community. And for attaining the education, providing educational assistance for the women who are vulnerable at risk to situations in prostitution and who have been prostituted or have been human trafficked, we have partnered with government agencies like the Department of Education, Department of Social Welfare and Development, and we are a council member of IACAT, Interagency Coalition Against Trafficking. And for the international partners, we have the Edmund Rice International, we have of course JCOR, we have the Good Shepherd Justice and Peace Office, Good Shepherd International Foundation, and Mercy Works Australia, who have partnered with us for this endeavor. So the call to action: if we are to access the resources of life, we must listen with our common heart to the cries of the world. This is from Hearing the Cries of the World by Mark Nepo, and the photo is from 1 Year in Ukraine by Caroline Drake. The Philippine government is target 17.I, mobilize resources to improve revenue collection. BIR confirms sending written demand to Marcos family on 203 billion tax liabilities, and all of you knows that from the recent elections, we have this precedent now. Also, target 17.6, knowledge sharing and cooperation for access to science, technology, and innovation. Former Australian Senator Lee Rhiannon, Commissioner of the International Observers Mission, which conducted the study of the 2022 Philippine polls, violence, vote counting issues, rampant vote buying, and disinformation as among the reasons why the Philippines fell short of free, honest, and fair elections. So there is the challenge for the government to properly access and properly train people in the use of technology, science, and innovations. These informations, trolls and everything else. And also, during the height of the pandemic and recently, the shutting down of private credible media companies like the ABS-CBN, where thousands of workers lost their jobs during the height of the pandemic, and then recently Rappler, a very also credible news company. The Philippine government revoked the operating license of Rappler, one of the country's leading news websites. So these two media companies and organizations have been very truthful in reporting informations, the truth, discrediting these informations. For the church, the challenge to the church, the human suffering. What is the role of UNJCOR as an international coalition of religious in support and solidarity of church people responding to the calls of the moment or undergoing legal charges, are red tagged or killed for speaking the truth and making a stand on various atrocities committed and are violations of human rights. There are situations that freedom to a dissenting opinion are curtailed. Hence, call to actions has to be initiated from the external coalitions for voices to be heard internationally. Rappler did a video entitled Letting the Dead Speak. This is in connection with the extrajudicial killings that has happened in our country. There have been thousands who were killed due to the war on drugs. This woman is a forensic doctor who exhumed the bodies after they have been buried for 5 years, and then they cannot pay for the place that the bodies were buried. They exhumed and they cut the skulls, and they were surprised that some of them have gunshot wounds in the skulls, but the cause of death is that of hypertension, any other causes, pneumonia, but not those that they have been found. And that is one of the priests that have been charged with a case, religious priest, because he stood up for what he sees and feels is right. Let the Dead Speak also speaks about the thousands of people who died of COVID-19, especially the poor who were not given the access to required help because of those alleged anomalous transactions. And Letting the Dead Speak also speaks about the church people who have been killed, who have been killed, lay church people, not only in the Catholic Church, but also partner interfaith organization churches who put their lives in the front lines and who were killed, who were massacred. Environmental suffering. This Jai Canetti is a local of one of our pilot parishes in Santa Fe, Bantayan. He made this short film which won an international award entitled Subiran Namo, or Our Fishing Boat. It is an international award-winning short film about a pristine fishing village in Bantayan Island, rapidly undergoing change because of the presence of many private resorts. So fisher folks have been pushed in the peripheries. Their way of life have been affected because of this one. So Partnership for the Goals and with our research hopes to continue to live out our commitment to capacitate people from the grassroots, the poor, know about their human rights, and to lobby for the government ordinances on the SDGs to be able for them to access those services that are rightfully theirs. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Virgo, for your participation, first of all, in connecting with us today, to be able to share your very thoughtful analysis. You have brought together in a very intellectual way the SDGs, the available legal mechanisms for action and advocacy within the Philippines, and also presented some really important obstacles to note where it comes to, for example, opportunities for free speech and to have the truth heard, especially with the challenge of losing independent media sources. And I'm especially appreciative of your analysis culminating in challenges on many levels. I know that's something we discussed in some of our earlier lab sessions, that the idea that when we are thinking of advocacy, that we should look, of course, to observe and critique and, where appropriate, congratulate and support government. But we should do the same within the institutional church, within our own congregations, within our own projects and ministry places and organizations, that advocacy really needs to happen at all of these levels. So I thank you for doing some analysis and offering challenge on all of those levels as well. And I would like to now offer an opportunity, if there is anyone who would like to offer a question or a response to Sister Virgo, this would be a good opportunity. Yes, I see the hand of Gail Mohammed Oxley. Go ahead, Gail.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I really appreciated this morning's presentations. It has opened us to a new way of church. Because I am so close to the grassroots, I feel a sense of hope for them. Now, I posted, I made a post here recently on Sister Virgo's presentation. We need to look at human rights as church according to the hemisphere. Now, you notice the hemisphere is in a cross, north, south, east, and west. We have the quadrants that we need to collaborate before we make general statements. We need to, and JACO is a good place to begin that. Many times, some of the what you call it, the rules, not rules, but the what you call it, not contracts. At the UN, we have
conventions
made, and because of the non-input of the general grassroots data, we tend to create more harm than good. So we may have good intentions, but sometimes because we have not completed and we are anxious to get everything done, we tend to create more problems. But I see this opening here as hope. You know, we're living in a time of hope now. I will say, yes, let us go forward. Let us really collaborate. I've taken note of the different contacts, and we in the Antilles Episcopal Conference we have not been on the map, whether physically or personally, we have always been colonies, considered colonies. Our owners are the Europeans. And at this time, in this point in time, I must say, we are being recognized fully as a partner. Thanks, Teresa. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much, how I feel as a partner, and how I feel too, because other areas have opened up for partnership, especially at the OAS and Summit of the Americas. As church, we need to do this, and we need to really collaborate. Rather than going forward with our own idea, let us look at church, you see, because we really need to collaborate. Thank you for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the presentations.
Thank you, Gail. And such an important piece of partnership is dedicating time and energy to connecting, which is something you have invested much time in with some of our regular gatherings. So we appreciate that too. Are there any other responses or questions anyone would like to bring forward into the conversation? Well, then I would like to just offer one more comment in response to Sister Virgo. In addition to what I mentioned, your analysis that brought forward challenges on many levels, I also want to commend you for exactly what brings your work into this particular conversation, which is you have demonstrated being able to create partnership on many levels. And much of it has existed within church-related structures. However, I can see that your work extends beyond church to other entities in the community. But I think it's amazing to see the network building through the diocesan structure, through Caritas, through other community organizations, and also your openness and awareness to some of the larger institutions in the public sector, like the media, and oh my gosh, all of those organizations you showed on the slide of your partnerships with other congregations and with global structures like JCOR and so many others. You have really made an effort to reach out, and I know at times that can feel like a distraction from the heart of your purpose in ministry. Sometimes it feels like an impossible addition to the work you are doing on the ground, but it will really make a huge difference, I hope, in the big picture and the longer term, that we are able to find it important enough to invest time in being together and telling stories and sharing our data and our experiences beyond the smaller settings where we're doing work on a daily basis. So thank you for all of the energy that you have everyone who spoke today, you have all put significant energy into making those connections and bringing important stories into the larger conversation. And that's in fact what makes the larger conversation relevant and useful. Without your voices, it sort of becomes devoid of meaning, and the idea of policy and decision making can become quite lost and quite disconnected from reality. So with that, I will say a very big thank you once again to everyone who offered a presentation today, to our interpreters, Dahlia, Pascal, and Jenny, for helping us to connect a much bigger portion of our globe, and to everyone who has been part of all of these lab sessions and to create a rich exchange during this year's HLPF for Sustainable Development. It's been great to share this experience with you, and we look forward to continuing to engage, come together, and find new ways to inform the global conversation. Thank you all and have a wonderful remainder of your day or night.
Thank you to all. Thank you, Teresa, for everything. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Teresa, congratulations. Good job.
Good. Excellent job. Excellent.
Excellent
Okay.
job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Same to
Bye.
you. Same to you.
Bye.